Hi friends, host Eric here, host Talking with Fantasy People. I want to make a fairly short video about how we can meaningfully use cognitive functions to improve the status quo, despite the fact that we're conscribed by cognitive functions in lots of ways, and understanding where and how we can attain outcomes in the status quo. So the thing is, almost all dispute between various parties over, let's talk about public policy stuff because it's narrows the ground that we got to cover here. That people don't end up, that ultimately what happens is you've got these people with different values, but ultimately all wanting a general good outcome. Like almost all. A few people may be purposely wanting outcomes they know are bad and believe are bad just because they're evil or something. That's possible, but for most people, they believe the advocacies they're advocating are the right advocacies, and they believe the advocacies that they are advocating are correct because of their cognitive function biases. So let's narrow the ground even a little further and talk about homelessness as an issue. FI is great because it prioritizes the individual over the community, and that's almost always a good thing, but not always. And what you have essentially regarding the issue of homelessness is three camps. You've got FI camp, you got TE camp, and you got TI camp. FE will go along with whichever is winning the day, sort of. But so you've got FI people who are saying these people are suffering in our community because of their homelessness. Meanwhile, we are prosperous. It's not okay for us to sit idly by and do nothing. And additionally, we have to respect the rights of those people. You can't just arrest him because he's homeless, right? The TE people are saying things like, we need to eject these parties from the community because they're ruining the community, bringing down property values, etc. Increasing crime rates or whatever the TE people are going to be saying. The TI people are going to be saying, we can't allow individuals as part of their legitimate agency to simply stake a claim on some part of public property, treat it as private property, and then be protected by the law when the government says, hey, that's not your sidewalk, and prevented from ejecting them unless they have some place for them to go. So in the various policy discussions about homelessness, everybody is saying we need a homelessness solution, and all of the homelessness solutions being talked about sound like this. Like, John Jacobson is committed to directing this much state money to constructing this many more beds for homeless people. Of course, it's conceivable that we could throw enough money into addressing the problem that way that we outpace homeless people in the rate at which people are becoming homeless. And in theory, we could build in our various municipalities sufficient amount of free housing for homeless people that you can solve the problem. In theory, right? But of course, if you have at your disposal now more supply of free housing for homeless people than you have homeless people, what's going to prevent people who aren't homeless from simply saying, you know what, why am I paying rent? I can get one of these surplus free homeless houses. So when you look at it in terms of a mechanism for solving the problem, you realize it's not sustainable if we designate it to municipalities under the current legal framework. And of course, everybody who's arguing about this subject is not even aware of the only first piece of information that matters if you're going to get anything correct about it at all, which is the Supreme Court ruling dictating that municipalities can't eject people from public spaces without having some place for them to go. So how then can somebody like me, whose attentional configuration is perfectly designed to be correct about public policy, communicate effectively with someone whose attentional configuration is perfectly designed to inform them about compassion, human decency, taking care of our fellow man, etc., but is horribly misdesigned for articulating which public policy we ought to use. The thing is, the TE people are good at constructing solutions for things, but the problem is, along with the FI people, they don't want to respect the order of questions. You have to ask whether a given advocacy is legitimate first before you can argue that it's advisable. If it's not legitimate, it can't be advisable. So how then to communicate with these people who attentionally are never going to see eye to eye with me about the importance of respecting the process integrity, or the guarantee that by respecting the process integrity, the overarching outcomes will always be way better. Because for TEFI people, there's never any overarching outcomes. There's always specific problems and specific solutions. So anyway, the gist of my advocacy, the thesis of this video at the very end here, is that the strategy is probably to convert, is to try to address the fact that people are currently, instead of debating advocacies, they're debating values. Basically, they want to win the value position on the issue, and then they assume if everybody has the correct value alignment on the issue, then that's good. That'll be sufficient to solve the problem. We need to convert that value debate between people into one in which people can, or like let me be specific. I need to convert what I'm saying into an advocacy that affirms under their values. So you can change money between values. It's if you use the right kind of language. If you can show somebody that their advocacy doesn't uphold under their absolute value, then you've got a much better chance of communicating effectively with them about it. So that's my short video. I've got to go inside the casino now.